Hey guys, Kyrie around for Girl Meets World, Season 2, Episode 27, Girl Meets Money, and I was looking forward to this episode just because of the fact that there's a new Girl Meets World episode, but overall, guys, I really did love this episode. I will say that the message of this episode, I've seen a million times, definitely, but I really felt like they made it their own here, definitely. They really made that message important. They showed why we needed to touch upon this season. Sure, this episode again, it didn't really focus on the main storyline, which is this, you know, um, Riley and Maya trying to figure out Lucas, that whole thing that's going on. But I was fine with that because, to me at least, I don't watch this show for the ships. I've said it before. I don't watch a show to just cause a ship war. I mean, anyone that watches the show because of that, don't do that because you're not going to be satisfied. It's that simple. Don't watch that show. It's not the kind of show you should be watching for that. Yes, that's a storyline that's going on right now, but Michael Jacob has already said that we are not getting a conclusion to that this season. In fact, I don't think they're going to conclude that till next season, even. I don't think we're going to get a conclusion to that storyline for a while. For me personally, Great Girl Meets World is Great Girl Meets World, and this was a great episode. I love this episode. One of my favorites, I think, Girl Meets World is done because it was such a personal episode. Again, while the message I've seen before, they really made this episode about the characters, and that's when Girl Meets World, I think, at least, is at its finest, is when it's not just some cliched message that they're doing for the hell of it, they actually have a reason for doing this message. But let's just get into it. Corey basically is talking to the class about money, and I like what he said, that money is just paper, but there's all these wars and everything over it, and we think it's this huge deal when really at the end of the day, it's just paper and, just shiny things and things like that. Now, Farkle, we learned this episode is, well, we've known for a while that Farkle is very rich and that Minkus has a shit ton of money. He does. He has a lot of money, and there's a company, apparently, they've been on the news a lot, and Minkus goes to talk to Corey, and basically we start to see that they might not be making as much money. And Farkle, in the meantime, has not brought Riley, Maya, or Lucas to his house, and they want to go there because obviously they know his father makes a lot of money, and they kind of want to go over there and see it, but he really doesn't want to take them to his house, so they decide to go anyway. Also, I love the bit in the beginning with Riley's shirt. I thought that was really funny. Everyone really had some great moments in this episode. I'm going to say that right off the bat. Everyone really did. Maybe not Lucas, but I think everyone really had some great moments here and there. Even Lucas, he had some funny moments. But basically, finally, Farkle decides to take them to his house, and it's basically like paradise. I mean, it's this huge house. I mean, he even has like an actual train that takes you on like a tour, and when Maya comes back, she's in a gift shop. I mean, that's the kind of house that we're dealing with here, which let me say that was very funny. But his house, a lot of it's also Riley is, playing the zombie video games, which I thought was very funny. Just seeing Riley's rant about the video games was great, but her actually getting into them I thought was really funny. I definitely love seeing that. But you can tell that Farkle, he wants advice on, how to make more money because he knows he's not making a lot of money, and he asks Maya how she gets by. And I loved these scenes between Maya and Farkle in this episode because those are the two people that you should focus on. You should take someone like Farkle and then compare him to Maya. Maya obviously is not as fortunate, and she talks about the clothes and how fortunate she is because Shawn actually gave them to her and how they mean so much to her, and Farkle didn't really think about that stuff because he's just used to having all this stuff. He's used to having all this stuff, and he hasn't really thought about it. And I definitely really like the way they showed that. So he actually wants to go to Maya's house, and her room wasn't bad, definitely, but Farkle, you can definitely tell, is a lot more impressed than you think he'd be, because Maya just has things that he doesn't. Like, for example, he doesn't have an actual window to say hi to people. There aren't people coming out of it usually, because when Farkle looks up, I mean, his house is like a skyscraper. It's crazy. And he doesn't really know what to do, and he really wants to, he just hasn't really thought about how other people aren't as fortunate. And he starts to realize that here with Maya. Maya talks about how there's like a hole in her roof and things like that, and how she just learns to get by. She learns to get by, and she doesn't care that there are things in her room. She doesn't care. She just, she's very fortunate, and I definitely love seeing that. I thought that was really great. And then Corey's lesson about, making money and things like that, I thought was really great. Like I said, I thought was a very good message. But basically, what ends up happening is Farkle goes back home, and I love what he says to Minkus, that he understands they have a lot of stuff, but they don't really seem to deserve it. They don't really do anything with it. They've kind of just kept it to themselves. And Minkus, he never sees him because he's always busy making money. And because of that, Farkle never gets to see him. What Corey said is that the money isn't really what matters. It's the people in your life that matters. So how could they really be doing anything, good with money if he barely sees his father? And I thought that was a very good point. And I definitely felt very bad for Farkle here because, he has all this money, but he's not happy. And it shows that, money can't buy you happiness. And yes, that's a very cliched plot that I've seen before in other things, but it's true. Money can't buy you happiness. You need more than that to be satisfied in life. And I think they really portrayed that very, very well here. Farkle doesn't need all this money. He just wants his father to be there for him, and he wants to do something about it. He really wants to make this money, and he just wants to, he wants to do something good about it. He doesn't just want to give it all waste. And what ends up happening is they bring in Mark Cuban, from Shark Tank. Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, of course, and basically from Corey's lesson, they just come up with this idea, basically like a Shark Tank episode, which I do watch Shark Tank from time to time, which it's a pretty good show. I definitely do enjoy Shark Tank from what I've seen. Solid show overall, definitely recommend. If you guys have nothing to do on like a Friday night or whenever it's on, check out Shark Tank. It's not a bad show. It really shows you like how to make investments and what people have to go through in companies. I mean, it's very interesting, and basically that's what they had to do in this, is they had to make their own ad campaign, which I definitely loved Riley's whole thing on like Halloween candy. She had some good points there, definitely, with the malaria, how, you know, we should give up, we should give up Halloween Day for Malaria Day because there are kids suffering from malaria. But I like what Mark Cuban says. Well, of course, that you're not going to take away Halloween. No one would agree with that, and kids would obviously be in an uproar if that were to happen. So, not a good idea. I mean, some good ideas that Riley had, but not going to work in the long run. So, basically, that idea didn't work. And then Lucas saw the idea of world peace, which I love that Mark Cuban called him Miss America. That was very funny because it's just not going to happen. It's true. World peace is something that we all seem to want, but it's just never going to happen. You're never going to satisfy the entire world. I mean, Gandhi tried to do that and didn't work. So, yeah, world peace is just something that's not going to happen. But then Farkle brings up Maya, and I love what he said about Maya, that she's less fortunate, and he wants to give money to her, and that's what Mark Cuban decides to do. He decides to give the money to Maya, and I don't exactly remember if she took it or not, but basically he wanted to give the money to her, and I loved seeing that, just the fact that they all pitched in to help her out. And I loved how Maya said that she is going to try to do this realistically, where she's going to try to grow up and not have a room with, a cracked wall and ceilings dripping and things like that. She wants to, save up and make it better. And she's going to count on the authority figures in her life to try to make things better for her. And I definitely like seeing that. Also, why didn't we see Katy in this episode? I feel like this was the perfect opportunity to see Katy, and we didn't, and we didn't see Shawn either. And it felt like that was a missed opportunity. If I had to have one complaint, it would have been that I would have wanted to see Shawn or Katy. We haven't seen Shawn since Girl Meets Hurricane. I really would have wanted to see Shawn again, but we really haven't, and Katy as well. Well, actually, no, we did see Shawn during the. Actually, no, we haven't seen Shawn, I don't think, since Girl Meets Hurricane. I can't remember the last time we saw Shawn. If there was another episode, then okay, I just don't remember, but basically, that's what happens there. So basically Farkle goes back to his house, and Riley is writing a song about, I thought it was very funny, the song that she wrote about the zombies. I definitely love that. But Farkle has now installed this window thing so he can communicate with the people from outside and actually talk to them. And that one neighbor that is less fortunate, that the whole thing with the how she wears two jackets because she's less fortunate, very sweet scene. I definitely really love that. Just scenes like that. That's one of the reasons why this message just works so well for me. I definitely really love that. And there was a really good subplot in this episode as well that I definitely do want to get into with Augie. I think one of the strongest Augie subplots we've had, honestly. I really loved what happened here. Basically, Corey didn't give Augie, he thinks, enough allowance, and that Topanga just gives him more. And he thought that Corey was upset about this because he doesn't make as much as Topanga does. But what Topanga said, I think she really hit the nail on the head in terms of like what we really want, to look back on with this episode and what the episode really wants us to think about. She talked about how even though they don't make the same amount of money, they're both helping people, and that's what matters to them. They don't really care as much about the money. They care more about their job, and they want to help people, and they want to do good things. And I definitely really love seeing that. Honestly, yeah, that is a very good message. You shouldn't just, want to do a job of helping people to make money. You should actually want to help them. That's the point of it. And I definitely really loved hearing Topanga say that. And this really, I think, gives Augie a new perspective on things. And I definitely love the way that that was done. So overall, guys, really solid episode. I really did love this one. I forgot to say that Minkus does say that they're going to make a savings thing for people that are less fortunate, starting with Maya. And it definitely seems like I think Farkle and Minkus are going to try to help out Maya, which I am definitely looking forward to seeing if that works out for them. So yeah, I really did enjoy this one. Like I said, it is a cliched message, but it's an important message. I really think the message of money isn't as important. It's more of what you do with it. That I think is a very important message because it's something that we don't really think about. I mean, people that are rich, it does not necessarily mean that they are more fortunate than us mentally. They might be, in terms of rich where they have no financial problems, but they could have other problems. Like Farkle was never seeing Minkus, and for what reasons? Now they actually have a reason. Now Minkus is actually going to try to give money to Maya's family, which I'd love to see a follow-up to that. See if that works out. See if that makes Maya's family more fortunate. I'd love to see what happens there. I don't know when this episode was shot. I'm assuming this was again before Zay was a huge part of the show because Zay once again was not in this episode, and I don't know why, but it seems like they do an episode with Zay and then they don't do an episode with Zay, and it definitely just because of how big part of the group Zay is and how he's become such an essential part of the group, it does feel weird when he's not there. Why he wasn't there, I don't know, but Zay was not in this episode. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. Very solid episode overall with a very good message. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be, I think, for the Shannara Chronicles, either for the Shannara Chronicles or for American Crime. It'll be for one of those two things, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.